Hey guys, it's mscoconut. How are you feeling? I'm doing well. How are y'all holding up in this apocalypse? Are y'all surviving okay? And I just want you to know I feel your pain if right now you're struggling, if you're trying to figure out what to do, if you're not getting enough money. I would just say make sure that you are going after and exhausting all resources, whether it's unemployment, whether it's stimulus, whether it's government funded programs. This is not the time to be prideful. Go after all of the allocations that's available. And don't forget to do your money magic, right? Money magic goes beyond just burning a candle. It's also keeping your vibrations high. It's also making sure that you are mentally and physically in the best condition. It's making sure that you are intentful and purposeful with what you're eating, okay? All of that will create an abundance in your life. So let's talk about fermentation of these apples. We are making apple cider vinegar today. And because I'm just showing you basic step 1 today, you obviously won't see the end result until later, but I'll come back and do a follow-up video. So I keep this on hand, and one of the first things I looked for when all of this went down was apple cider vinegar. They were out. And then eventually I found this brand. I usually do Bragg's, but I found this brand, and so I snatched it up. And this is about $8, and it's so much a staple. I decided just to go ahead and start making some so that I would never have the feeling of I'm worried that I'm gonna run out. I take this to help monitor blood pressure concerns. It's good for weight loss. It's great for a detox. You can use it as a tonic in your hair or on your skin. You can use it for heartburn. So, the list is endless. Of course, I'm going to tell you I'm not a doctor. I'm not an herbalist. Do your research, okay? I'm just introducing ideas to you. But this process of fermentation is centuries old, eons old. I didn't make it up. There's so many videos out there. There are probably people that can explain it better. But basically what we're going to do is take the apples and allow them to break down naturally in sugar water, and that creates the vinegar. What's going to form in this process of fermentation is good bacteria, and you're going to see it look like a mucus plug or something, right? And you want to keep that because that's the good stuff. Well, some people may not want to keep it, but I personally like that in mine because that's the good stuff. Okay, so you're going to start with apples. A lot of people will tell you use organic apples. Okay, now my thing with that is not bad advice, but the thing is you don't know if the apples are organic. You only know what they tell you and charge you, okay? You got to think. They make more money that way, so they tell you this is organic versus, oh, these apples are not organic. You have no idea. But people say use organic, that way you can use the whole apple. I'm using the whole apple regardless. Just wash it, soak it, be happy. Do what you want. I'm just telling you what I did. So I used about 3 apples, but because I've been doing so much with jars, I didn't have a large enough jar, so I ended up using about 2.5 apples. And you're simply going to cut the apples into bite-sized chunks. And typically, I would say you could start with 3 apples. And for every apple, you're going to add a tablespoon of sugar. Now, that's all you need, and filtered water. Okay, so this recipe is very simple. Apples, water, sugar. Some people actually start this with a cup of apple cider vinegar to help speed the process. But we're starting from scratch. This is about $2 remedy, okay? And this is going to help heal your family. So it's important to have on hand. And it's great to learn how to make it just in case you ever have to. And it's about a 6-week process, okay? So you simply, you know what? Let me go back. Before you start mixing up anything, you want to sterilize everything. I had to write my notes so I didn't forget to tell you. I don't want y'all passing out. Sterilize it, you get a clean pot, you fill it with water, boil the water, put the canning supplies in there and let it boil, right? The glass jar. When you take it out of the pot, you want to use the rubber tongs, and you want the tongs to be where? On the outside. Why? You don't want to cross-contaminate the inside. Okay, so you take it out, it's sterilized, you sit it down, and now you can begin to add in your apples. And about 3 apples is good to start with. Tablespoon of sugar for each apple and a cup of water. That's simple. Once you place this in a jar, the apples are going to float and you have to hold them down. Now, normally I have these little glass ramekins that are really tiny, and I have no idea where they are. And they would fit perfect in the jar, but I couldn't find it. So I'm just going to show you my makeshift ones, and I'm going to insert a link below for Walmart, because they actually have canning weights that you can place. And that's why you use jars that have a wide mouth, right? Large jars with the opening that are large, because you can put the canning weights in there and it will hold the fruit down. The reason why you need a weight to hold the fruit down is because the water has to top the fruit so that fermentation can be perfected, all right? If the water is not submerged, meaning it's not underneath, if the fruit is not submerged under the water, meaning the fruit has to be below the water line. If that doesn't occur, it will be contaminated. If you see black or brown starting to form on the top, something's wrong. Abort the mission, start over. Meaning sterilize everything, clean jars, clean hands, clean utensils. Speaking of utensils, you want to make sure when you are stirring, you use a wooden spoon. Okay, I think I used the end of my wooden fork. But you use the wood because metal does something with the acidity, and it will release toxins and mess up the remedy again. Okay? So you don't want to use metal in anything that you're stirring like this. You always use wood. All right, so the most important facts about this is you start off with clean items. You use wooden spoons. You use a weight to make sure the fruit is submerged below the water line. And then you're going to cover it with cheesecloth. I didn't have cheesecloth, and I didn't have rubber bands. So I used a clean scrunchie, and I used a clean tea towel. That's cotton. As long as it's 100% cotton, you'll be fine, okay? If you don't have that, you can use a coffee filter, all right? If you're going to be doing these kind of things, just go ahead and invest in a little bit of cheesecloth. They're like at the grocery store for $5, okay? But a lot of people are doing these kind of projects right now, so it's hard to find certain things, so you might have to order it. So that's an option for you as well. All right, I want to go back to the submerging of the fruit part. Like I said, that's important because if you don't submerge the fruit, the bacteria that forms won't be the good kind. You have to throw it away. If you don't have that, you can use something that's sterilized and clean that is like a little glass cup or a saucer of some sort, depending on how large your jar is. So I'm going to show you what I did to improvise, okay? Now that my fruit is properly submerged beneath that water line, it's going to sit in a warm spot on my counter away from the sunlight for about 6 weeks. What you're going to do with this is take your wooden spoon and every 3 days go ahead and stir it up so that the mixture is evenly distributed. And in fact, when you mix up your sugar and water, it's a better idea to actually place the sugar in the water and stir that up and then pour that over the fruit. But I did it the backwards way. And I dumped the sugar in and then the water. So then I ended up just shaking it up. And hopefully that'll be fine. Sometimes I forget when I'm doing stuff. So it's like I'm always doing something. So I forget what stage I'm in and what project. Anywho, mix the sugar water first. Dump that in. Stir it up every 3 days. After 2 weeks or so, you should see a great decomposition of the apples. You take the apples and you strain it. When you strain it, use cheesecloth, use non-metallic items. You don't want to use metal strainers, metal spoons, metal anything, okay? You take the apples out, you pour that liquid back into your bottle, and then you're going to place your covering back on, and for another 4 weeks now, you don't stir it, you just let it sit and do its thing, because at that point, it is apple cider vinegar. So I hope I explained this well enough, right? You're just going to take apples, sugar, water, mix up a sugar water, which is about a tablespoon of sugar for each apple, with a cup of water. You're going to dump that in and into your nice, clean, sterilized jar that's filled with apples that you've cut up, which about 3 apples would be good for this recipe. You're going to weight it down. Make sure the fruit is underneath the water. You're going to cover it with some type of cheesecloth or cotton material. Wrap a rubber band around it, so you want to keep the bugs out, but at the same time still let it breathe. And then you're going to stir it every 3 days with a wooden spoon of some sort. You're going to cover it back up, leave it in a nice warm spot away from, the sun. And then after 2 weeks of stirring and covering, you're going to strain out using non-metallic items. You're going to strain out the apples. Then you're going to take that mixture, pour it back into your bottle, cover it up, and just let it sit for 4 weeks untouched. And in that time frame, it will be completely apple cider vinegar. This stores indefinitely, okay? And it will last you a very long time. And for about $2, you can make your own apple cider vinegar. Well, thank you for spending this time with me today. As always, Stream Brezzy.